4 of session, so feels a little longer than that, doesn't it? So we will call this meeting to order, and the first thing I'll ask is, are there any bill introductions this morning? Any committee member have a bill introduction? Anybody in the audience today have a bill introduction? Okay, well, I think we are ready to go. So today, we're very excited to have our Insurance Commissioner, Vicki Schmidt, here with us today. She's going to give us an overview and an update from the Kansas Department of Insurance. And this may be the last time we see you in this committee, so welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, Madam Chair and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to come. You're right, this is my 8th time and final time that I'll present before this committee as Insurance Commissioner. I'll leave it at that. I always enjoy Eric trying to explain risk-based capital to the new members of the committee. It was our department's annual bill, but then I remembered we fixed it. And so no more tap dancing for him. But we did fix it, and that's kind of the theme of my comments today. Every year, the committee looks a little bit different, so welcome to the new members. I'll look forward to working with you, and also to all of you, I appreciate the sacrifice you make to represent your constituents every year. All right, so as you know, the mission of the Kansas Insurance Department is to regulate, educate, and advocate. As commissioner, I've tried to prioritize fiscal responsibility along with being very efficient and our customer service. And I'm proud to report that our numbers actually reflect that. I'd like to direct your attention to the handout that is part of our testimony. We're very proud of this handout, but we have first of all, the department has recovered $202.7 million since 2019, since I became commissioner. And that's money back into the hands of Kansas families. We've done that through consumer assistance and through the life insurance policy locator. 2025 was another record year. Unbelievable to me, because every year I think we're not going to top the previous year. This year we're at $56.7 million in recoveries, and I would footnote that as to we're not done yet, because any case that was opened in 2025, those numbers will continue to flow in as we settle those cases. Our team has put together the light blue line here that shows our increase in our recoveries in Kansas year after year. I think it's one of the things that I'm most proud of in the department that we've done since I've been there, because it does have a direct impact on the lives of Kansans. And I'd like to introduce you to Lauren Hermes. Stand up, Lauren. Take a bow. She is the leader of the 19 employees that work in Consumer Assistance Division, and they are responsible for that 56.7 million number. The second number I'd like to point out to you is our reduction in revenue, and that of revenues we collect, and that's the dark blue line. Many of these items wouldn't happen without your support. You have made that dark blue line possible for us. We listed the reductions at the top of the page, and then obviously we've graphed it out. You might remember that in 2019 through 2021, we were trying to get legislation passed about our producer licensing process. It was ultimately passed, and then we were able to implement it in 2022. So that's the big decrease in 2022 that you see in the corresponding reduced revenue. Securities fees, we had a moratorium on them in 2022 and 2023. We had a 2-year moratorium. Then we came back in 2024 and 2025. We reintroduced them at half of what they had been before. And so that's the uptick in that one in the 2 years. Our security statutes only allow us to waive some or all of the fees in a given year. And this is why this year we are coming to you with a bill that will allow us to have the authority to reduce those fees related to securities like you've done for the insurance area. It'll allow for a more consistent fee schedule, and it'll give our, certainly our security registrants, it'll give them more certainty, and we'll still have a responsible ending balance. I guess that I naively thought that when we went to the moratorium and then came back with half fees, we thought that would be enough, but we have excess again, and I don't want to be a moratorium and then fees, and moratorium and then fees, so you could help us smooth that out. So now it's a good time. I was going to say to introduce you to Eric Turek, but instead I'll just say I'll allow Eric to stand up, because Eric is our government affairs person, and I know you all know him. He does a great job for us. He also, I know many of you communicate with him when you have consumer issues, and he takes care of those seamlessly for us, and just very good to have him here. He's going to talk to you a little bit about the legislative agenda later on, just a little brief thing. In 2023 and 2025, we got additional authority from the legislature to reduce revenue coming in, like I said, on the insurance side. And so in November of last year, we are lowering another $1 million in fees that started in 2026. We had a bill, thanks to you, that removed the premium tax revenue retained by the department, which was 1%. We've instituted that. And then also, and all of these reductions combined have added up to $96.5 million that we have had in the reduction of the cost of doing business with us here in Kansas. It has lowered the regulatory burden, which obviously we're all a fan of, and that is passed on to consumers and reduces the revenue coming into the department. The graph shows that it did take some time to get there, but I believe we have made enduring changes now that has set the Department of Insurance on a path of fiscal responsibility and certainly stability for the future. I think I'm really proud of the fact that, we have recovered twice as much for Kansans from 2019 to 2025 that it has cost to run the department. And that's really big for me. Of course, that does exclude the Firefighter Relief Act and work comp. Bottom line is we're still maximizing services to Kansans, and we're operating much more efficiently and effectively. It's a funny thing how those are related. You find efficiencies and then reductions in the financial side come. So that's great. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on some of the pieces of legislation that we have instituted since you've passed the legislation. In 2024, you passed the Vulnerable Adults from Protecting the Vulnerable Adults from Financial Exploitation Act. Boy, what a difference that has made. Dan Klukas is here with me today. He is the Assistant Commissioner of the Securities Division. It's a theme. Okay. This act has allowed the department, they hit the ground running on July 1st after you passed that bill. And we have stopped $4.97 million from being collected by fraudsters since that bill was implemented. We work with APS, Adult Protective Services, on that bill. They are a great place for us we have a great partnership with them, and we really appreciate that. I want to thank you for this additional tool to help us with this problem. The full report is on our website on the fiscal year 2025, so I encourage you to go look at that. We also continue our Smart Invest ks.gov, and that's where we try to educate people before the fraud happens on questions you should ask, on things you should be aware of, because they are constantly creating new ways to get into people's pocketbook. So we're still working on the Smart Invest ks.gov initiative. There have been some media reports you may have seen recently on cases both at the state and federal level that our office investigated and has referred for prosecution. I can't comment on those directly, as the attorneys would know, because the prosecutions are still pending. But as you see those headlines, I want you to know that these are the largest cases in history for the insurance department that we've ever investigated. So the Securities Division is very busy. Last year, you approved the real-time insurance verification system. Thank you so much for doing that. We selected a vendor. We're well on our way. We selected the vendor through the competitive bid process, and we started working with them immediately. The deadline for us is July 1st, and I don't think we're going to have any problem meeting that deadline. Things are going really well, working with the Department of Revenue and getting all the systems in place. As just a quick reminder, uninsured motorists have cost Kansans about $51 million over a 2-year period. So I remain hopeful that we'll be able to reduce that cost and hopefully cost for Kansans as well. I hear the theme this year with the legislature is affordability and affordability. I know you're focused on that, and I think that is top of mind for every Kansas citizen right now. Here's a couple of things I'd like you to think about from the insurance perspective when you're discussing affordability this session. One is property valuations. When property valuations go up, so do the insurance premiums. So when you talk about reining some of those things in, it won't just help their property tax bill, it could also help their insurance bills. So we appreciate that. Fraud hurts everyone. The Coalition Against Insurance Fraud says that each person pays $932 a year in more in premiums because of insurance fraud. So and that number continues to grow. We did pass legislation last session through the House that will give us some additional tools for fighting insurance fraud. We're hopeful Senator Warren will give us a hearing this year on that bill as it came over to the Senate, I think kind of late last year, but we do hope that we can have that bill become law. Insurance savings account. Insurance savings account were proposed last year. It's a way to provide Kansans a tax-free way to save for their insurance costs, like their premiums and their deductibles. This would be a first of its kind in the nation, and so we hope to have your support on that one this year. Healthcare costs. Well, you know I'm a breast cancer survivor, and early detection saved my life. When I shared my diagnosis publicly, I received so many so much correspondence from Kansans, who many of them had navigated insurance and breast cancer detection. The proposal we're making would eliminate the cost share for the MRI and other imaging related to breast cancer detection. This benefit has already been approved by the State Employee Health Plan. We've had it for 2 years now, and so the employees of the state have that benefit, and I think it's time we share that benefit with the rest of Kansans. I want to give you a quick operational update. Clay Johnson is here with me today, and he is a new Assistant Commissioner of Insurance. He is not new to the department. He has served as Assistant General Counsel, and we just made him change offices and change the job a little bit. And he's done a great job. He conducts all of our hearings and so many other things. It still has a foot in securities also. We launched a new website. How many of you have been on our new website? It's awesome. It's phenomenal. And so I hope you'll check that out. We hope it's easier for Kansans to navigate. There's a lot of information on our website, and so we hope that it will be a little easier for all Kansans. Constituent assistance, constituent help for you. We will get you a graphic to include in your newsletter about our new website information. When I was in your chair, I loved it when agencies sent us things that we could put in our newsletter that could help Kansans, and we will continue doing that this year. We'll share updates for you throughout the session. And if there's something, like we'll do storm season and things like that, but if there's something that you need a graphic for, or you want to talk to your constituents about and you want our help, we're happy to help you with that also. Accreditation. I went through, the department went through accreditation shortly after I took office. It's a 5-year accreditation, and it was expected that we would do that later in 2026. The NAIC, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, does that process. And we had some clumps of states where we had a whole bunch of states in this year and not many in that year. So our accreditation was moved to 2027. I'm trying not to smile about that, but I will say that I have no doubt. I mean, we're leaving it in great shape for accreditation, much better than when I took over. And I know that the next commissioner will have no problem sailing through that, even though it'll be in that first year. I would like to point the key staff out in your folder. We have all their numbers and things that can assist you. And then I also wanted to introduce I think 2 people I did not introduce. Mandy Rowe is Chief of Staff, and I know you meant Mandy. I know. We rehearsed this. No, we didn't. And Steve Carr, he's our General Counsel, the one that's supposed to keep me out of trouble. So anyway, so that's what I have, but before I take questions, I do want to thank this table right here, the revisers and the legislative research. They help us prepare our bills. You know, we work with them year-round, and they do a great job. You see them when you're here for the session, and we get to see them all the time. And they do diligent work and really appreciate everything that they help us do in both the insurance and securities field. I'll turn it over to Eric to talk about probably more detail of the legislative session, and then we'll answer any questions you have.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I am Eric Turk, the Director of Government Affairs for the department. I know the Commissioner went over a couple of our agenda items. I'll go over, and the agenda for our legislative agenda is in your packets if you want to follow along. Insurance savings accounts, the Commissioner mentioned these. We have introduced House Bill 2430 on the House side. This should come, we expect to come across the rotunda to the Senate. This is modeled after almost identically to the first-time homebuyer savings accounts and the adoption savings accounts, with the caveat that there is a corporation component to this as well. We know that Kansas families, they need to save for their insurance costs. They need to save for that for $5,000 deductible, and so do businesses as well. So we want to encourage Kansans to save while also giving them a little bit of a financial incentive there. As a tax credit. It's a subtraction modification, but it acts the same as those other savings accounts. Anti-fraud, as the Commissioner mentioned, and I look to the agents on the committee especially, insurance fraud continues to be a scourge in the insurance industry. Like the Commissioner said, $900 a year extra in premiums that we pay on the property and casualty side of things. About 10%, it's estimated that 10% of those claims are possibly fraudulent. We know that with the advent of AI, we know that fraudsters are getting extra smart. We would like the tools to pursue the individuals who are committing insurance fraud. Just for those committing misdemeanor insurance fraud, that's under $1,000. So the rest, we contract with the Attorney General to prosecute our felony level cases. But we would like that extra tool as fraudsters get a little bit more crafty. And that passed the House 122-1, that bill did. State-based regulation, House Concurrent Resolution 5013. This is a resolution that passed the House 116-2. I'm looking at the one representative, or the one senator on the committee who voted for the resolution. This urges Congress to let state insurance regulators regulate Medicare Advantage. There are 11 elected insurance commissioners across the country. The rest are appointed regardless of whichever stripe they are. Insurance commissioners and their offices are, we receive the phone calls from the public about Medicare Advantage and the complaints specifically. We refer those to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Seldom do we hear back, and we really think that we can do a better job than the federal government on helping Kansans. lowering fees. We just want more flexibility to lower fees wherever we can. I know the legislature, and I think everyone on this committee has voted in favor of House Bill 2050 from last year that let the commissioner lower up to 100 different fees, and we're tremendously appreciative. We announced those fees in the register on December 1, and we expect that the savings in those fee reductions be about $1.1 million for this calendar year. So we're excited about that. To expand that onto the security side of things, this last item, this may look a little bit familiar to you. You all passed Senate Bill 42, which requires insurance companies to respond to inquiries from the commissioner within 14 calendar days. Since the 80s, it was 15 business days. That's 3 weeks. I think we all know that if someone is dealing with a health claim issue or they have a damage to their home, seeking remedy through the Department of Insurance and waiting 3 weeks for a response, not even resolution, that's a long time. And we have we have email now, so we've sped that up. We want to, there was a small drafting error. I think, at the end of session, there's a lot of bills that come through, and the conference committee reports can have a lot of content. There was just a small casualty there, so we want to fix that. And then we have a small insurance agent licensure fix as well. I can go into much greater detail when the hearings take place, Madam Chair, or I can answer other questions as needed.
Okay, any other from the department? Okay. Are you good? Okay. Committee, do you have any questions of either the commissioner or Eric? I'd like to just say a couple of things, and I do have one question. We really do appreciate when we have a constituent who needs assistance. Your staff is so responsive. Really, the consumer complaints, it's so easy to get in touch with people. Really appreciate that. So kudos to you and your staff on that. It's really a culture of how can I help you. So I appreciate that. I think maybe, and also, you've done some great work over the last 8 years, saving us some dollars and tightening up procedures. But what do you think is going to be the greatest challenge for the next commissioner? You've done a lot in 8. So what's left? Is there anything left to do?
I'm sure there are a lot of things left to do. I think it's just, I hope they continue the consumer assistance emphasis because the first year I was in office, we recovered $2 million, and we thought, in the year, and we thought we had really done something. We were patting ourselves on the back. And so, I think just talking about, hopefully that the next person will be out and about and talk about, send me your complaints. I said, I'm probably the only politician that ever says, give me your complaints. And so, I think we do a lot of that. I think in the securities world, I think the fraud is going to continue to increase, going to continue to look at new tools. That's on the insurance side and the security side because people are getting very, they're just very creative in ways that they, and on the other side of that, we need to back up the train and educate people on how maybe don't answer your cell phone if you don't know who it's from and let them leave a message instead of having the opportunity for them to get chummy with you and give out information that you shouldn't. So I think the fraud, NAIC constantly changes. We don't talk a lot before the legislators about what requirements with NAIC that we're required to do for our domestic companies, things in regulating them and stuff. And, I hope they're engaged in that process because we do have a duty. I feel like I have a duty to speak for my domestic companies and to when they have a concern about something that's going to be proposed, that they speak up for that. So believe me, they won't be twiddling their thumbs in the office. There's a lot to do, and but I do think with your help, we have really, with the legislature's help, we have really given a good framework for some of the things, and especially when it concerns fees and reducing fees, and you've allowed us to do that without continuing to accumulate an ending balance because we don't get state general fund dollars. We're funded on our fees, and it's important it's important for me to make sure we do that in a way that is good, and hopefully decrease the regulatory burden again, because we want businesses to want to come to Kansas.
Thank you. Committee questions, comments? Senator Fagg?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioner, congratulate you. You've done a great job. And
Thank you.
You got a great team.
I do.
I wanted to, I have been so pleasantly surprised. I've had people call me up with a problem, and it's not a yes or no. You can tell their heart is in what they're doing. And I think they give options, and sometimes you can't give the answer they want to hear, but it isn't because we didn't try to do the best we could with what was there. And I've had a couple of them that I've just been pleasantly surprised with the way that's been. And anybody that calls, I'd be surprised if they don't get help there. So one thing I wanted to ask you on this locate a life insurance policy, have you had a lot of people use that? Because I would think, being around the banking world, I've seen deals where people lose their policies and nobody knows where they're at. So, and how you promote that, does this go out to all the agents maybe? Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. There really is. The question is how you get it out there so people get it, so.
Well, we've started working with funeral homes. And it's not something that, we have many funeral homes now that are sticking it in the folder that people get, not the first thing somebody should think about or that somebody does think about, but I do hope that they at least tell them that it's there, and then we can go on. I know we had a call last week of from a constituent that husband had passed away and unexpectedly, and that was almost a year ago, and then was going through the drawer, right, going through the office stuff, finally clearing that stuff out, and said, I found two policies. One's 71 years old on myself, and then another one is one from my husband that I don't know how many years old it was. Well, Lauren was with me. She immediately knows where to look, and one of those had gone, has been sold 3 times. The other one, I don't know how many times has been sold. And so we can trace that back, and it's painless, and we can do that. And so, you know, I hope we get out to more people. We do tell agents about it, but the life insurance locator, you know, the sad thing about that is that if for 2 years, well, let me back up and say the master death file, it goes to the insurance companies, right? And so after 2 years after the deceased, after you're deceased, then the money goes to our treasurer's office and our unclaimed property. So it makes it, it's cleaner for us to get it in that first 2 years than it is to go through the unclaimed property.
Thank you. Senator Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to echo the sentiments on your agency being customer friendly. Every person that I've referred there has had a wonderful experience, and so I really appreciate that. One of the challenges we have with federalized health insurance is the reduction of competitiveness in the health insurance market. Do you have any ideas on how we could improve the competitiveness and get more players into the health insurance market?
Well, we have I'd say, fairly good competition in Kansas compared to some other states where you only have one player. You know, we work on that constantly. We have conversations, have to have those conversations 18 months before the company would come here. They have to be admitted. They have to, you know, we try to clear that roadblock as quickly as we can. But, you know, I think it's just on the business environment of coming here, and we try to make that as easy as we can. There is no easy button to hit to get people to come here, and you're seeing some now be partnering with others. The Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City that serves 2 of our counties is now going to be merging with another entity, and so that, they aren't my domestic anyway. They're domesticated in Missouri. That's where the majority of their business is. But, that, that will change that competitiveness a little bit.
Thank you.
Sure.
Committee. Senator Rose.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Secretary, for being here. One of the biggest issues with affordability for a family is the cost of health insurance. So do you think it would be more helpful if the federal government sent health insurance back to the states, or should we just reform the Affordable Care Act to make it more affordable?
Well, I think both of those are options. Kind of hard to say which one would be the most use for us or cost decrease for us. When the extended subsidies were not renewed, and I know there's still some conversations going on about that, but that did affect our marketplace, and I know that because of the calls that we're getting in our consumer assistance division. So affordability, the truth is that we want the newest and latest and greatest in our healthcare, and there are new opportunities for diagnosis and treatment all the time, and those are expensive, and I think that's a big part of the affordability crisis, and not that that's a bad thing, but it does have a cost.
Senator Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner, for being here today. And I, too, have referred constituents to your office who have had insurance complaints with their insurance providers. So thank you for handling those through your office in a very efficient, customer-friendly manner. And I also help clients who have loved ones who have recently passed away. So I wasn't aware of the Locate a Life Insurance Policy service that you have. Is this something new? But you can bet I'm going to refer clients as we're working with them. Well, hey, let's check this out.
No, it's not new, and we would be happy to. We'll walk them through that, and we absolutely can help with that. And I think obviously when a death happens, there's so many other things that are top of mind for people, and I do think it takes some time. But we'll help them at any point in that journey, and we would love to, we have these. We have the palm card, I call them palm cards, but we have palm cards that, we're happy to send them to you. We'll send them to anybody. If you have a funeral, if there's a funeral home in your area that, that doesn't have them, we're happy to send them out.
Well, one of the last things you want to have to work through as you're dealing with the loss of a loved one is the legal process. So it's nice to know that there are tools out there to help them navigate that. So appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner, is it possible for us to get a graphic that we could put in our newsletters? Because we'll all be doing newsletters this session.
Sure. About, kind
about
of put the palm card into a graphic.
Easy way to do that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is that possible?
That we would be happy to do that.
I'm always looking for good content for my newsletter when I've run out of things to say.
Well, you let us know and we'll provide all that content. I do want to emphasize, I thought about bringing all 19 of our employees that are in the Consumer Assistance Division today. I did think about them because I do want you to see the faces of the people that are very kind and compassionate and are empathetic with people when they call in, but then who would answer the phones? And I also pride myself on the fact that we still have real life people answering our telephones, and I can't tell you how much I think that makes a difference. And we also will call them back when we have information and stuff. We do a very good job of tracking that. We have a good system to do that.
And we do appreciate that. That really does make a difference when you don't have to push 3 buttons to get to maybe one person. So thank you for that. Senator Haley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner, thank you so much. I just wanted to ensure that it's unanimous in the great appreciation that we do have for your department. Just recently, within the last week, a former Senator from Sedgwick's mother called me with an insurance problem or an issue with car insurance and handling that with the provider, and was able to streamline that through your department. I did give the number, and she got back in touch with me and said how easy it was. And I did lift up and say, well, that's because Commissioner Vicki Schmidt is making sure she keeps a tight ship. So I did want to share that. The other question that I had was regarding this breakdown. I didn't see the charts that we had, Commissioner, and the money recovered by county. I didn't quite catch the gist of how that is, because there's a huge disparity from Johnson County, which, understanding the economic engine that county is, their returns down to zero. What exactly is this speaking to, this chart, in terms of money recovered by the county, the graph that was provided? I didn't know if you or maybe...
I'm going to let Lauren answer that because that's Lauren's, puts that together for you. So I'm going to let her.
And thank you.
I know, but I want to.
Commissioner, again, thank you again for the department that you have so ably staffed.
Thank you for the question. Lauren Hermes, sorry. For the amounts recovered by county, anytime that somebody's going to submit a complaint, we're going to include the county that they are, that they live in, that they provide us with. And then if there was a medical procedure that we got covered, or if there was some property damage that we helped ensure got paid for, that is the amount that is going to be recovered for the county. So when Westmoreland and Grinnell had tornadoes, we helped some of our constituents there, the consumers there. But I think it's just because it's a very populated area, would be my guess. But that's how we track it, by the complaints that come in.
Thank you.
I might have a quick comment. Madam Chair, I might have a quick comment. Eric Turek here. So Senator, I know if you look at a couple of the counties, there are some disparities. And I'll say that especially on the, and these figures reflect all lines of insurance. So this could be anything from pet insurance to health, to life, to auto, homeowners, whatever it is. If our intervention results in the consumer being able to keep some of their own money or being successful with their insurance claim, that's how we incorporate these figures here. What I'll say is, for example, if you look at some of these counties, the less populous counties, there's nothing. And unfortunately, we need to do a better job about reaching out to them. But more broadly, there are some counties that, like Gove, Gove County, very small county, but that had the Westmoreland tornado. Also, life insurance is a huge component of this too. When you have perhaps a $1 million policy recovery through our intercession, if you will, or through our intervention, not intercession, that's incorporated here. So that might be a little bit of the disparity. That might give a little bit of rationale for the disparity you may be seeing. And I can chat with you more about that offline. And if there's a better way so we can contact your constituents about how we can help them, I'd love to have that conversation.
I appreciate that clarity. Thank you so much, Mr. Turek and Commissioner. Madam Chair, one brief follow-up. We used to call them individual savings accounts, and I was a part of that process when we first put them in place. The health savings accounts, we did that. In fact, one of your predecessors, Commissioner Lynn Jenkins, former Senator and Commissioner Jenkins, and I worked on those for savings accounts for health-specific measures. I find very attractive this concept of an insurance savings account, this House Bill 2340, and wondering where the repository of that be. And I'll go look at the bill, but it's just something that I'm glad to see the concept of the consumer-driven or the ability to predict or to look ahead to that and to have those measures savings. The mechanics of this, is there a model elsewhere, another state or what have you, for what is 2340, for how insurance, the mechanics of the ISA, I guess I'll call it, the insurance savings accounts might work, and how we might best implement them?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, these accounts are based on the first-time homebuyers and the adoption savings accounts. I know that we don't have the data on the adoption savings accounts utilization or anything like that. We do have that for the first-time homebuyers. We think a lot of Kansans are going to use this. We certainly hope so. Aside from basing it this legislation off of those two savings accounts. There's some federal push for some disaster-based savings accounts that hasn't really had a lot of traction. There are a couple states in the South that have enacted catastrophe savings accounts that are circled around or focused around disasters. Now, the South, is totally different than Kansas climate-wise, and they have hurricanes all the time. The worst that we really have is a tornado, which is so narrow in its destruction. Additionally, and we want to apply that to all Kansans, not just individuals who have endured that kind of damage to their property. In addition, I think the catastrophe savings accounts are oriented around a disaster declaration. And so whether or not you have a fire that was your neighbor's home that bled into your home, that may not be a disaster declaration, but you still have those costs. Or if it's a wildfire or whatever the case may be, because this applies to renters, auto, all property and casualty. So catastrophe savings accounts, they're structured a little bit differently with the annual contribution limits. I'd be happy to talk to you all about that during the, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that offline, or we can have an informational hearing, or whatever the chair would like.
I'm appreciative. Thank you, Mr. Turek, very much so. Commissioner Schmidt, again, we appreciate your department and all that you do. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, committee? Well, thank you so much. We've really appreciated your time and your efforts and all the wonderful things that you've been able to accomplish. Sorry we won't be able to see you again in this format, but you can come back anytime. We'll be here.
I might see you yet this session, but anyway, but I do appreciate everything you do, and you are, you're part of the success of the department because you've passed bills that have really helped us do what we needed to do. So thank you very much for always considering our bills. Thank you.
I also appreciate you don't have quite a long list as you did last year of legislation, so I might just mention that.
I think the reviser might appreciate that too.
Thank you. Committee, we will not meet on Monday. It's a holiday. So we will see you on Tuesday at 9:30, and we have lots of work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Thank you so much. Meeting adjourned.